I'm Harold Peters Fransen, and I was number 3. There were 2 days before me, and I knew them all. It was my first year at CMBC that the first day went, and then the second day. So I knew who the experience that they had, and by then there were a number of people being interviewed. I don't know if the first year there were a number of candidates, but by then there were 3 or 4, so there was already a gauntlet that Gary put one through, and then one came. And the experience of, I don't know how, I'm sure they varied over the decades, but at that time, at least, I think I lived in 3 homes that summer, sort of a different home every month, roughly. And there was the committee, there was always the people with the notes at the sermons, which was always both an intimidating and ultimately usually a fun thing. There were a number of experiences that summer which shaped me in a number of ways, and I'm sure this pattern you haven't kept up every year, but at least that year I think I came just about every week for supper one day. And I had to go across town by bus from wherever I was living. And it was a very wonderful setting where these young children in this household and the conversations around the table were an important part of shaping I think, who I was. There were many experiences during the summer which were interesting, but one right at the end, when there was an evaluation time, and we gathered as a group, and the person who was representing the youth there pretty much laid into me and said that if I was going to go into youth ministry, I really didn't have what it took. And some of the things that the young woman was saying were true, and in fact came out in my ministry in the future as well. But Gary had a wonderful way of turning the conversation in such a way to remind me and the group of what strengths I would be bringing to ministry. And I think I took away from that the encouragement, the ministry of encouragement that Gary has had to many people, and I'm very thankful for that. I was able, a number of years later, I've been doing intern ministry the last 8 years, to intern pastor First met at Edmonton many years after Gary had been there, so it was a delight to return to that setting, and I noticed that a number of the interns have ended up here at Tumsey or in other places where they've interacted with Gary, and I think that's been an important part.